Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Maxwell, and welcome to a brand new podcast format for the Arcadia High School Creative Musical Arts and Sciences program. We've been doing podcasts, since March of last year. We started doing shows and podcasts pretty much every week since the pandemic began as a way to continue just offering opportunities and things of that nature. We've taken a few weeks off of the podcast recently to sort of regroup and repurpose them and see what we can come up with. And so we are trying a new format today, something a little bit different. Most of the podcasts in the past have been some great conversations, don't get me wrong. Some really interesting and wonderful opportunities to chat and explore some stuff. But this new format is going to be more about what we can do in terms of creative process and direct explorations. And so I think it'll make sense as we move forward on this particular episode. And that in mind, here is, let's see who's joining us today. Let's bring those folks in. So I've got Jay, and I've got Shayla, and I've got Andrew. And we are all masked up. We are in the CMAS room. We are basically in 4 very different areas of the CMAS room, and pretty well separated. So we're all, wearing masks and things. But the more important thing is that Andrew over there is holding up a guitar.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us can you pick that up so we can see what that is? This will be important here in a second.
So this is a Mexican-made Fender Telecaster thin line.
Mexican-made.
Yeah, so it's half hollow, and it works for what I'm playing. I do need to get it set up.
Okay.
But other than that,
it's
perfect.
It's working.
Yeah.
So here's the kind of cool thing that we're very excited about. The other thing that we've got over here in front of Andrew, and this is what we're going to explore a little bit today, is this. So Andrew's got a pedal board here, and we're going to sort of explore some tones that he gets on these pedal boards with these different effects and things. So Andrew, why don't we start with just some basic background. First of all, we're running into a clean Fender combo amp, a Champion on the clean channel. Basically everything's pretty much running at just no highs, lows, or mids or anything special on it. We don't have any effects going through. It's just kind of plain. Why don't, in fact, actually, can we hear what the clean amp sounds like just real quick?
Yes.
Cool. Very nice. I'll turn that up just a little bit for us. So in the grand scheme of things, what do you got on that board?
Okay, so we're going to start off here with the Ernie Ball BP Junior. This is my volume pedal, and I use it. I use it to mute, but also I use it to do swells and stuff.
Okay.
And then running out of that, just through, there's a little tuner output, so I can always have my tuner on, and it won't affect the signal at all. So that's not even in my chain, it's running out in a separate chain.
Okay.
So then that is running into the full drive 2x full tone. And this thing it's pretty great, but that's why I got this, the JHS Morning Glory, because I just needed to boost it a little more, give it a little more grit.
Okay.
And so these two stack sound pretty good. And then that is running out to the MXR Carbon Copy analog delay.
Okay.
And then that is running into the Hoff Mini, which I always keep on, and I keep it really low because I have my main reverb.
So wait, go back for a second. So the MXR is a what?
It's a an analog delay.
It's an analog delay that goes into the HOF, which is what?
It is a reverb, and it's like my secondary reverb. I always have it on.
Okay.
But I keep it really low because I run that into my main reverb,
Right.
which is the Procession by Old Blood Noise.
Ah.
And this thing is probably my favorite thing in the world.
How long have you had it?
I've had it for like 3 days.
Oh, you really just got it.
Well, like 4 or 5 days, but the way that I found it was one of my other friends had one, and he let me borrow it for a few weeks, and so I had to get one myself
Okay.
because I just love everything about this pedal.
Sure, I can appreciate that.
Yep.
So let's start with, why don't we start by having you play a little bit, just noodle a moment about like, what would be like a sort of like Andrew standard sound kind of thing?
Yeah, okay. So I would have this on, the Morning Glory on, and then I use the delay as a detune most of the time because it's a pretty good delay, but I'm going to eventually get a tap one. Then when I need it, I'll just adjust it.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn that down a little bit, have the Hop Mini turn down a bit, and then the recession on with the modulation, which is I have it set to a tremolo right now, and I have that down pretty much to all the way down.
Okay, and you're not using the drive at all?
No, I'm not using the drive because I bring that in when I'm playing like more, like when it needs to be more powerful, I guess. So.
Okay, let's take it. What's this sound like?
This sounds like, I'll give you a little bit of high stuff. And then get the drive down a little bit. Turn the mix up on the reverb. Something like that. That's like my go-to set,
Okay.
or something like that. You can also use it for some rhythm. So like I like to play these little things. So something like that. It sounds pretty good.
Sure.
I'd say.
Sure.
And then,
Just for fun, what happens if you kick that drive? Like, can you push things a little bit? Like,
yeah.
like what happens if you want to get like more crunchy or more like thicker sounding, like on the distortion side of things?
Yeah. So I would turn the volume down a little bit because it's going to get loud.
That's okay. And I've got the fader here
On the
too. I
morning
can
glory.
always pull back if necessary.
And I would turn the drive up on the Morning Glory and turn the full drive on and then bring back the reverb a little bit and then get some of this. Put that back a little bit. Pull the reverb down a little bit so it's clear.
Sure. It does, and I mean, obviously you have to be kind of careful so it doesn't wash out.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. First of all, I'm wondering. We'll bring everybody in here to the shop now. Like, what do y'all think of the sound in general, like that he's getting out of that? I mean, obviously it's cool, but I mean, does it sound musically interesting to you, or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
For sure.
Yeah, I really like how angelic the reverb and delay.
Yeah.
Really.
That's
match
why
together.
I love this this thing because it puts your guitar in another galaxy. That's what I like to see.
That has become kind of the thing, is like these lush, textury, reverby delay things.
I mean, I could even take it a step further, and if I turn the mix on the reverb all the way up, you get something that sounds like this. Oh, wait, here, hold on. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's
There's-
pretty cool.
There's some very fun things you can do with if you put two delays running, like one really short
Mm-hmm.
and then one really long, or vice versa, depending on, you gotta experiment a little bit. And you can kind of wash things together. And if you darken it up a little bit, and then if you put a reverb on underneath that, against all of that, you get this whole sort of like ambient. It's basically what that pedal I think is doing mostly.
Yeah.
Have you ever like, there's no I mean, you have a modulation, parameter on that reverb pedal, I realize, but you don't actually have any dedicated, like, there's no chorus or like a flanger or phaser or anything of that nature, you've got no,
No,
right? And
not at the moment.
is that a choice because you just run into it, or is it just, I run out of room on my board the way I've got it set up and I don't wanna try to find a way to put more on it?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay,
It's, the sound that I'm getting right now is good for what I need it to be
okay,
at the moment. So I feel like at the moment there's not a point for me to get that. But
Okay.
maybe in the future, if I wanna expand out, but at the moment, this is working well for me.
okay. What about order? Do you ever mess around with the order at all?
I have not messed around the order with these two yet
Okay.
because I just got this a couple days ago.
Gotcha, okay. Have you ever done anything where you put your, say your delay earlier in the chain? Before maybe the drive?
I have not tried that before.
Okay. First of all, let's just turn off both of your reverbs for a second. And actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get us back on our pedal board so we can see it fuller. Okay. So the two reverbs are off, right? Turn off the drive so you're only running the JHS. Maybe you only run the JHS is what I'm thinking. And turn
Yeah.
off the full. Yeah. Turn
It's
off the full
off.
drive.
It just has a,
Oh, is that just
it's
power?
a boost, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay.
So,
And then let's see if you can get like a pretty serious, like very obvious. Oh, that's a delay out of the MXR, just for the sake of this
Yeah.
experiment.
yeah.
Some cliche is fine. Okay, so push the drive now a little bit. So we get a little more grit on there. Okay. Now I'm gonna mute you for a second. I'm gonna pull your pedal, your volume pedal all the way down, so we don't send any signal out. Now what I want you to do is, if you can you wire, like, how quickly could you change it so that the delay is before?
Before this one?
Yeah.
I don't think that would take too long. So
Let's do a little bit of pedal board surgery here.
I'll do this.
And this is a very good excuse for me to justify buying CMAS pedal switching box. And I know just the one I want to get. The guy, Dan, the guy that does that pedal show, makes this genius stuff. The gig rig stuff is unbelievable. Okay, so leaving the settings as they were basically, if I'm correct, we're now running guitar into delay, and now we're running into, right?
Yeah.
Okay, see what that, push your volume pedal back up. See what that sounds like.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, so what's happening now is you're driving the delay signal as opposed to delaying the driven signal. So some of it's going to affect touch, but you can get, like, it's a more, I don't know, it can be a thicker sound, depending.
Yeah.
So something you might want to experiment with is, so where does the full drive 2 fall into that? It's going after that too, right?
No, it is still before it.
So the full drive is before,
Yeah.
so you go full drive, delay, JHS,
Yeah.
right? What happens, okay, turn off the delay for a second, and feel free anybody else to jump in here. I'm just kind of throwing out ideas because I'm gonna geek out here. If you don't stop me, I'll just keep going. Turn off the JHS as well. Can you dial in a more aggressive, or at least a more gritty sound off the full drive 2?
Yeah, I
by itself, basically. Can you push that, is there a way to push the output a little bit more? Or no?
Push what?
Just to give it a little more
Yeah.
volume or a little more. Okay, now turn it to loud. Back off the full drive just a little bit. I feel like we lost the delays. Like,
Yeah.
bring up the mix on the delay, maybe?
Yeah.
There we go.
It's clipping a bit. I don't know if that's the amp or.
We are clipping just a tiny bit. I think we're clipping on the amp a little bit. Maybe pull your pull down just a little. That's better. Now engage the JHS. It's gonna be noisy, I know, but really cuts through that now. Really. Now put on your HO. Now put on your Hall of Fame. Kind of sings more now, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just playing around, obviously here.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if you put on the crazy reverb one
Let's see.
in this scenario? Turn the full drive off. That's interesting. Okay, that I like. It doesn't overwhelm the all the extra like overtones and everything from the full drive. Don't that's kind of cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
What happens when you do some chords? Ambience, but then putting the drive at the end of it is kind of an interesting way to sort of reconsider how you're powering things, you know?
Yeah.
It's really, that's kind of fun. Oh, hey, we got a former, do you remember Angel Young? Maybe? Your brothers, your family knows him. He's asking in the chat, are we just messing around, or are you just trying for a specific sound application? We are just playing around with sounds. I really like that. By the way, feel free if you have a suggestion for a combination, if you want Andrew to try, you can certainly throw that this way. Andrew, we happen to know that there's another pedal. I'm going to mute the board here for a second. You have, there it is.
All right.
So
Pop it open.
we're doing, this is literally an unboxing. You haven't, did you
No,
open
I
it?
have not
Okay.
opened it yet. So.
Really? This is like your mom drove this over here because it came in the mail today. Thanks, Mom,
Okay.
by the way.
So
That's very cool.
we have just some warning instructions.
Did you get that
Still-
cool
oh,
JHS sticker?
Look at this. The sticker.
There you go.
Yeah. Just some information
Yep.
and some confetti.
Oh,
Type
fun.
stuff.
It's like it's like a party for the.
There it is.
There it is.
If I'm not mistaken, yep, okay. It also comes with a button. And I think there is a pick somewhere in here. But it's just the
Okay.
same pick I'm using, which is this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so let's
So what is that pedal?
This is the Tiny White compressor. And it has some threshold, volume, and blending.
So this the Whitey Tidy compressor, which is honestly
Yeah.
possibly like just I love JHS.
Yes, me too.
They're kind of brilliant.
So,
Josh, if you ever for some reason should be looking for some time to spend with a bunch of high school students, you should totally do it with these guys because the man's a genius. It'd be fun to hang out with him. So where do you want to put it?
I'm thinking before the volume pedal, because I often do swells, and it would be nice to have the guitar already getting
Yes.
sustained a little bit more.
So that is actually a very smart choice because for those of you that are watching that may not be comfortable, compression is one of the most, I would argue, actually not one of the most, I would argue that compression is the most difficult effect to understand and get good at using. It is simultaneously incredibly subtle and yet you can also get these really crazy extreme results. Do you need additional cabling or anything?
No, I do. I don't.
You came prepared.
Yeah, I did.
Wow. Awesome.
I'm eventually gonna switch out my patch cables too,
Sure.
but for now, actually.
That's all right.
Yeah. Oh wait, you know what? I don't
So while you're doing
I
that,
did do that.
compression basically allows you to control dynamics. The reason why it's a good idea to put it before the volume pedal is that if he puts the compressor after the volume pedal, what it's going to do is it's going to negate a good part of the volume swell, depending on how he has it set up. This way, he can get a focused sound on the guitar, but still have complete volume control and range. By the way, and I do this on my board, which my new one someday I'm going to bring in to show you guys. Maybe I'll bring that up for a podcast and I'll just be like, why would you do that? That's all. But that's okay, I get that.
Actually, now I'm just
That volume pedal, do you ever, because that's a pedal train board, right?
Yep.
I love pedal train boards. They're fantastic. They're really hard to beat for the money and for what they do. When you're playing that pedal though, when you're using that pedal, because it's angled, does it not bother your foot? Because I have a solution. Doesn't it feel like it's almost like to use it in a full sweep is almost like.
a little bit.
So what you do is, now I don't know if you can. It's tricky with the volume pedal. You have to do some surgery. I do it with expression pedals because the way my rig works, I use a volume pedal, but I use it through an expression MIDI data. It doesn't matter. The point is, if you take that volume pedal and you can do it just at some point, just to try it out. Flip it around the other so that the top is at the top, at the bottom, the bottom's at the top, and it will that tilted pedal board will no longer bother you. It makes it so that the angled pedal board no longer creates an issue, which is kind of cool. Here it is. Back to our multicam shot. So we've got that compressor put in. We got to get it some electricity. We are actually using, believe it or not, the power supply. We have some of the one spots, and they're awesome. And I love the one spots, and they're great. But just economically, we are a public school. A couple of years ago, I discovered, actually maybe not a couple of years ago, about a year ago, I discovered on Amazon of all places, it's Amun or Hey, Mr. Gonzalez is joining us. Hey, Mr. Gonzalez. But it's on Amazon. It's is it AAMOON or something like that? I don't know. They're like $55. There's 8 9-volt jacks on it, 500 milliamps on each one, which is an enormous amount of power. It's fully isolated. It's silent as near as I can tell from the test I ran on it, or pretty close to it. And it weighs almost nothing. The one-spot power supply is a tank, and it's unstoppable, and it is incredible how good it is. It is amazing. But it's also heavy. Like it literally, you feel the weight difference. The other one that Andrew's using weighs almost nothing. Now maybe that means it's going to fall apart if we're not careful. But if weight is an issue, sometimes that can make all the difference. How's it going over there, buddy?
There we go. All right.
So I'm going to suggest that you turn off every effect.
Yeah.
Especially because we messed up your order. And let's just start with, I would go to, like, don't even have the compressor on. And let's just hear what that clean guitar sounds like. Hold on, let me, here we go. So that's just, we're going through that clean amp again, right? So, how do you test a new pedal?
I'll just play around with it. Give it. Well, first I'll probably just turn everything to 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And just see what it sounds like.
All right. So let's see what happens when we do that. Doing A/B back and forth.
Yeah, sure.
Turn it off and then turn it back on. So that's off, right? That's nothing.
Nothing.
That definitely changed something.
It does, yeah.
Does it feel different? A lot of times with compression too, it's about it like it's almost like the listener doesn't hear the difference, but you feel the instrument feels different.
So this knob right here,
Yeah.
it's blending your clean signal and your compressed signal. So maybe like right about there.
Okay.
I've heard that this is, I haven't tested out myself, which I am right now, but I've heard that this is like one of the coolest effects on a compressor pedal.
Okay.
Okay, maybe turn
On this particular compressor pedal or just in general?
on like in general.
Okay. So a mix of like 50% compressed signal, 50% non-compressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like if I turn it all the way down, that's my compressed.
Right.
If I turn it 12 o'clock,
Okay, sure.
yeah.
How does it change the feel of the instrument? Like on the neck, does it make you feel like it's got a different kind of vibe to it?
Yeah.
You feel like you have more control? Or do you feel like it's, I mean, the problem with compression is it's going to squeeze, you know, compression, again, for those that maybe not as familiar, compression basically takes your dynamic range, and it's called a compressor for a reason. It compresses it, it shrinks it. So, what's cool about it is it can get you to feel like you can play more consistently and have more control, but if you squeeze too tight, it can feel like you lose control because now you have no dynamic range. So there is sort of like a sweet spot. You mentioned, Andrew, at one point your guitar's pickups may be something you need to be investigating. So the output of those pickups is certainly going to be part of it. You know, as far as how that works.
Yeah.
But it
It feels
nice.
And
Does it feel different than it did without it?
it does. So like,
Yes. It definitely focuses the sound. It gives you the illusion of more volume.
yeah.
Which psychologically, louder we like the human nature. If it doesn't distort, we're like, oh, that louder's better.
Yeah.
But if it focuses your tone. So now what happens when you turn on some other effects?
Let's see.
That's interesting. It drives it harder, doesn't it?
Let's see.
Interesting. about how the patch cables make a big difference too. He's absolutely right. Funny enough, it may have been before you joined us. Andrew is actually, that's his next, one of his next things is to upgrade those patch cables. It does make a big difference.
It just gives it like a, I don't know, it doesn't completely change the sound, but it like makes it just makes it
It
feel
definitely, I mean, the name, it definitely tightened it up. Like, actually, dude, play a little bit with the delay going, like you just were. Now turn the compressor off. Let's play the same thing. Yeah, you can see it, it's completely, so much more focused. Wow.
yeah.
That's a beautiful, beautiful difference. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Very, very cool.
I like that.
So now if I turn on some other stuff here.
Just hit every light. Just make every light go on. I'm just kidding. So, this ambient stuff, do you have a tone knob on that reverb?
Reverb? No.
Okay. So one of the things Angel brought up, and he's right, is that a lot of times with the stuff, and I think I mentioned it when I was saying about how you can take two delays and if you darken them up. I think that that's something you might want to consider is if there's a way on one of, maybe on the drive or somewhere to get a darker tone going through.
Yeah.
That might. Yeah. See how it keeps it from like getting that sort of piercing kind of loss of the. Really cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to buy one of those compressors now. Oh my gosh. The difference.
Yeah.
It's really
Very,
cool.
very cool.
So, Jay, what are your thoughts on the compressor? We're gonna kind of wrap this up here. We were just, like I said, this is our first attempt at a let's noodle in real time. This is fun though. I like this.
Yeah,
For
for sure.
Do you know what's funny? I have to say just real quick before Jay chimes in here. I swear to you, I thought that I didn't realize how small that pedal was. I thought the compressor was more like the size of the MXR.
It's no more big than the HOS.
That's funny. That's great though. That's good.
Yeah.
More space for
It's
more
a very
stuff.
powerful pedal for how small it is.
Yes, it is, and a pretty good value too, if I remember right.
Yeah, 135.
Oh, that's not bad at all. That's not bad. Where'd you get it from, if you don't mind me asking?
I just got it off of Amazon.
There you go. There you go. I do have some friends at Sweetwater though. Hey, Sweetwater, if you're ever interested.
Yeah.
I don't see anything from those things, but they cut us good deals because we buy them individual, and they're awesome. Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, I can definitely see how the compressor really changes the sound.
Yeah.
I kind of like how it kind of, way it focuses it, it's almost like it's a bit crisper.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely.
It'll be interesting to see as you play with that more. I mean, I have this vision of I'm either going to get like messages
Yeah,
over the
I'm gonna-
weekend, or you're going to come in Monday with. I just spent the last 72 hours like nonstop compression experimentation. Because
Yeah.
it's such a subtle. But you can even hear it the way it focused in on between pushing the delays, moving the delays to in front of the drive, which already brings them out more, and then that compressor on top of it.
Yeah. For sure.
He's kind of considered old school these days, but if you really want to get into some interesting pedal combinations and orders, Andy Summers, the guitar player for the Police, was doing that kind of. He's like the first guy that like really sort of made that big leap of, yeah, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it this way. And so a lot of those sounds on his guitar are just, completely,
Yeah.
otherworldly. And especially when you think about the fact that he was doing it with gear that we would now consider almost laughable in some respects. Like he didn't have nearly the options. And just if you think about those classic Police tunes,
Yeah.
stuff. This is cool. You know, it'd be fun. I think for our next one, we ought to do, especially Jay, if you're here, we ought to do something similar, but we ought to hook a bass up. and see what happens, from an interactive kind of thing. If we wind up in a mini show, like an extension of our Thursday concerts, who cares? I mean,
Yeah.
this is fun. Any last thoughts, Andrew, on what you got there?
I'm gonna spend a lot of time dialing it in, and
Okay.
yeah, I'm liking the tones that I'm getting out of it though.
That's cool, man. It's really, really good. I did want to shout out to Shayla. She unfortunately had to duck out quietly a few minutes ago, but I appreciate her joining us. Jay, I'm glad you're here, man. This is cool. This is very cool. Thank you for those of you that were watching and listening. It's always fun doing this stuff. We keep expanding the program. We keep moving things forward, and it's nice the appreciation we have for all of you and supporting what we do here. It's cool. I think this podcast, this is fun. Like we could do a whole nother one just on these pedals, and we didn't even bring out any of the CMAS pedals. We could really go crazy. So this is fun. That in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for joining us. I want to thank Andrew and Jay, and I want to thank Shayla, and I want to thank Mr. Leon and Mr. Gonzalez for chatting with me through this. And anybody else who's been watching, listening, and supporting these students. We are always available at arcadiacmas.com. And you can find us on social media, Arcadia CMAS, pretty much everything, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll be back next Thursday with I'm going to guess, cleaner in terms of wiring. You get the compressor on the board, and maybe some other toys and some more jams and some other stuff. And yeah, happy Friday, everybody. Catch you all next time. Thank you so much. Take care.